Jesus rose with all power in his hand. Yes, he did. My Jesus rose with all power in his hand. Yes, in his hand, in his hands. Oh, they tell me that he died on a Friday.
You ever notice, I'm sure you have, how a lot of life is pretty mundane, just ordinary, go through the same thing every day. You get up, eat breakfast, go to work, go to school, whatever you do. I don't know, maybe that routine's been interrupted here a little bit over the last few weeks, but point still remains, a lot of life is just, I don't know, I hate to use the word boring, but uneventful. How about that? It's a lot of routine. We get a lot of routine in our lives, and there's place for routine. I tend to like routine in my life in a lot of ways. If you even get down to it, probably a lot of the meals you eat are the same, aren't they? You've got certain things you just know how to cook that are easy or for whatever reason, and that's what you do. And so it's one of the things we see in life. A lot of it is just wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. It's the same old thing every day. The laundry piles up, the dishes get dirty, the floors get dirty, the yard needs mowed, and it's just a lot of doing those things all the time. And what I want to do for this talk is just point out that in the ordinary and the mundane, everyday things of life, there really is meaning and there really is purpose. And I could elaborate on that in a lot of ways, but here's the main thing I want us to get at today, is that I worry that a lot of times our approach to life and things that we see is formed by the entertainment industry. In other words, I don't know, you see things that go on like, my favorite example is you're watching a movie, it's set in New York City, and the people drive up in a car and they park right in front of the building that they want to go into. I've never been to New York City, but my understanding is that it's completely unrealistic. That parking in New York City is a real issue, it is a real problem, and you don't see the star of the movie or the TV show driving around looking for a parking place or paying some high rate in some garage somewhere to put their car, You see a cop show and the cops are on stakeout, and I honestly don't know how do real police do stakeouts all that much. I just wonder if that's really a part of police work or not, but let's just assume it is. How boring has a stakeout got to be? But see, in the TV show, what do they show you? They don't show you the 14 hours of sitting there, uncomfortable, tired, worn out, watching the same old thing, waiting for something to happen. No, all they show you on the TV show is they go to the stakeout and suddenly whatever they need to see, they see. We don't sit there and watch with them for those 14 hours and do that sort of thing. We watch, if you watch sitcoms, I don't know, what are they, 24 minutes long, 22, something like that? Whatever problem there is gets solved in those 22 minutes. And of course, all the people in there, they live funny, happy. It just seems like every day's an interesting day. Every day's an adventure kind of thing for them. And I think you're getting... Well, I guess the other thing that occurs to me is that with social media anymore, you've got all this 24 access to your stars. You've got all these people that follow them on these various accounts, social media accounts, and these are people that are always showing you what? They've got paid people, they've got press agents to make their lives look exciting, and I'm sure their lives are exciting, but they show you in all these exotic locations and things like that. And you know what? It's just not real life. It's not real life. And I look around sometimes and I wonder if that's why we hear so many that are younger just say those, the unforgivable sin, I'm bored. Because if they've grown up on entertainment, it's very easy to get the idea that life is just full of excitement and full of all kinds of new things coming at you all the time, and it's wonderful. And that's just not the reality, is it? Life is, I don't know, I can't assign a percentage to it. What is life? 90% boring? I mean, even a football game. If you boil it all down, how much action really goes on in a football game? I mean, how long does a play last? 6 seconds, 8 seconds? That's a pretty long play in football. And then they all stand up, they huddle up, they talk about what they're going to do next, and they run another 6 or 8 second play. It's just the reality of it. And so what I want to point out is that, you know what, while a lot of life is not all that exceptional, That doesn't mean it's unimportant. It doesn't mean it's unimportant, because one of the things that I want to suggest to us is this: how we handle the small stuff and the everyday stuff in our lives matters. It really matters how we do those things, because the reality is how we handle and do the little things, if I can use this word, the boring things, matters in determining who we are and helping set our character. Well, I guess to use another example that may be somewhat familiar, it's just like if you watch sports. If you've played sports, let me say it that way. If you played sports, you realize how much practice goes on in comparison to the game played. Riley ran track, and you go to realizing, if you've been to a track meet, I've been to a track meet, and you realize that a child can put hours and hours of practice into an event that may last seconds, not very long. And that's the reality. And you spend a whole lot of time waiting and a whole lot of time practicing for just a few seconds of something to take place, And I guess maybe to bring this out in terms of a story from Scripture, one story that has always intrigued me and I've liked is the story of Gideon. But I want us to just go back to the very beginning. In other words, Gideon's the one that took that very small army of men and defeated a large army. But the story starts out in a very mundane, uneventful, seemingly not all that exciting way. Gideon is threshing wheat, and he's doing it in secret so that it won't be stolen by those that are oppressing the Israelites. That's how the story starts out. He is in hiding, doing, I've never threshed wheat, but I'm assuming it's probably not the most exciting job. Is that okay? Is that fair? It's probably not something that somebody wakes up in the morning and goes, woohoo, I'm going to get to go do this. It's not something they get excited about. But he's there in secret, trying to get this done and provide something for himself and for his family. And see, one of the things I would suggest to you is that if he's doing this, he does this in other aspects and areas of his life. He's that person that gets up every day and does the chores and does all the types of things that need to be done to make life happen. Because the reality is, if you come back to our lives, clothes have to be washed, dishes have to be done, things have to be cleaned, food has to be cooked. We've got to do all these type of things that aren't all that exciting, but are necessary in life. But see, here's the lead in, and I'm not going into the story of Gideon. You can go read that for yourself in the book of Judges. All I want to point out is that his story starts out in something that is very boring and mundane, and it is my guess, I can't prove this, but it's my guess, that he was a guy that went about doing the boring and the mundane lots of days of his life. But it's because of that God was able to use him to do something big. It was because of that God was able to use him to do something big. And that's what's important. Because one of the things we realize in life is that if you're ever going to do big things, and if you're going to do big things well, you have to do the small things in life first. The ordinary, the regular, the mundane, those have to be done well. If we can be faithful in the small things, then we can be faithful in the big things. If we can do well in the small things, we can do well in the big things in life. In other words, it's really important how you wash the dishes. It's important how we do our cleaning. It says something about us as to how we handle the little things. See, much of what you say about yourself is how you handle the everyday stuff. And think about it. As you go through your day, how do you talk about others? How do you think about others? Are all the little, I guess I would say, small promises that you make kept? Do you keep those? Do you do the things that you say you will do? Or are you always finding, or are you a person of excuses? Well, I just didn't want to today. I didn't want to get out of bed today. I didn't want to do this, that, or the other. Are your small little promises in life kept? How much drama do you cause in your life? Are you one of those people that drama just follows and walks everywhere? It could very well be. It's not because of others, but it's because of you causing it. How much drama do you cause in life? How do you act about the little things? Because the reality is, what you do with the everyday and how you handle yourself in the everyday things matters. And those around you know it, and they notice it. And the other reality is, God knows it too. So very often, if you want to do big things in your life, and if you want to do big things for God, you better handle the little things and the small things well. Thanks for listening.
Jesus rose with all power.